All right, hello. I just want to talk about a few things this week. It's been pretty crazy. Today we get to start in California a curfew. So our governor has put in a curfew from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. And then it ends in December 21st, I believe. And today's November 20th. So I guess he wants to do kind of like a full month type deal. yeah, so that's intense and crazy. It's like, oh, okay, crazy times, pandemic, all that stuff. And then I wanted to give a little anecdote, which I thought was interesting. You know, if my friend's watching that told me this, love you, nothing, I thought it was an interesting story to tell. Anyway, I was talking about, how to gain followers and, you know, build a community essentially. And a lot of the advice I always get is like, oh, you need to like follow all these groups that are similar to yours. And I said, well, I don't really agree with the follow for follow. And then my friend was like, well, yeah, but the thing is when I was really big into Twitter, I did that. I followed a bunch of people and I had thousands of followers and all that. And then and I was talking about how I don't feel like it's genuine when you do that. Then my friend was like, yeah, and then I stopped posting. I lost them all, and I'm like, yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say. You don't get anything genuine with that thing. So anytime you do this like research on how to gain followers, it's it becomes you need to follow these groups and stuff like that. You need to follow, and I just kind of go, I've done that before, and it didn't feel right. It didn't work for me. Just it was just like no one really cared. It was just like people boosting numbers. That was it. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to actually build a connection. If you want my help with something, I'm glad to help. Just tell me you want it. Ask me for it. But I don't like this facade of, you know, let me do this for you. Well, one, I don't like tit for tat. If you want to be kind enough to help, then be kind enough to help. But, don't expect something in return. That just kind of kills everything. But yeah, so I don't believe in that. It just it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I don't think anything genuine comes from it. My friend made a good point. You do find those few people that are good connections. And I agree with that. I'm sure when you blast yourself, you're probably a little more out there, marketable, and so on and so forth. And then it's about finding those breadcrumbs of good people. But it's just that I've found those good people without doing that. So I just kind of it wasn't a strong enough case for me, but I just thought it was an interesting anecdote to mention because it's like that's exactly right. You disappear for a month or so, and they uh, lose interest in you. I had one friend tell me about a friend who had a page that's really big, the 10K range when they put the letter there. That's how many followers you have. And the person got like sick or actually got into like an injury that led them into the hospital, and they were actually like distraught because they were actually losing fan base because they were in the hospital recovering. I was just like, wow. And that was only like a few days of recovery. It wasn't even anything too major. And I'm just kind of going, that's what I don't want. Like this stress of, wow, if I don't keep working this thing, you guys will just bail. Like, I want to find people that want to just help and skip the BS. So, yeah, that was a thing. And then I kind of lastly wanted to just talk about this feeling that I had, which was called finding time. I just found it interesting that, we come up with so many excuses not to do anything. And I think I mentioned this before, but it's just interesting that we live in a time where we have lots more time. Not only do we have a curfew now, which gives us the evenings to do things, but now we have, and then we've had the pandemic for most of 2020. And so it's like that tells you alone, like, okay, enjoy things, find time to do stuff. So I always like to use the example of, the gym. People say, oh, I don't have time to exercise. I have my family, I have my kids, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, pandemic, oh, I'm not working as much. But and then it becomes this whole new grief. Mind you, I'm fully aware of parents that have to monitor their kids as they're being taught virtually and stuff, and I get it. But what I'm saying is like, there's children exercises where you can work out with them and have fun with it. And it just goes, and, it doesn't even have to be about working out. I'm just saying like anything. It could be about just not having the time to do something. But the thing is, if you're passionate about it, or if you really want to do it, now's the time. The pandemic has taught us we could die tomorrow, or we could die from a virus. So might as well do the passions you want to do. And that's the point that I wanted to mainly just say is stop finding excuses to not do what you want to do. It's really interesting because we have this pandemic that's slowed down everything, and yet people still have their excuses not to do certain things. So yeah, that's about it. Hopefully it was short and sweet, got to the point, taught you some stuff. Yeah. So help out.